Okay, it is 12 o'clock. I'd like to call this workshop, September 14th workshop to order. And we have a quorum here. Commissioner Gibbons will be, Commissioner Piner will be here in a few minutes. And I wanted to thank Commissioner Gibbons for running the meeting so effectively and efficiently at the last meeting that I was not able to attend. So thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, first up, we're going to change the agenda around a little bit. We're going to ask, Dr. Jan, development of the former American aluminum fabricator site on Mackle Street. It's going to come up and do a presentation. Gene, would you like to, or Chip, talk a little bit about this before they get going, or exactly what we're doing for the board?
Go ahead and share.
Well, they're going to do light manufacturing with some research and development, which would be we weren't sure about the use, but after we met with them, it's going to be a very unintrusive use, light truck traffic, no emissions, no noise, and it's going to rehabilitate that building, which is in pretty sad shape on the outside. So we think it'll be a real good use for that.
Very good. It's a property we were just recently talking about, so it kind of all fits in together. And would you gentlemen like to introduce yourselves?
Sure.
We can pull up another chair there. Pull up.
I can stand it.
No, whatever you want to do, but you can pull up another chair if you like.
Well, first of all, thank you all for inviting us here and having us be able to present ourselves and our business to the community. And we're certainly very interested in coming here. We love the building.
Okay, fantastic.
So,
Are you Dr. Jan?
I'm Dr. Jan. I'm the founder of the business.
Okay.
Started in 1989, and now I'm a little older, so my son there's the CEO of the business, Rowan Jan.
Fantastic.
He also has a doctorate degree. And KK is our general manager in charge of all the operations here.
Great.
And again, thank you everybody for having us here.
All right, well, the floor is yours. Tell us a little bit about what you want to do. And
Okay, first I'd like to give you just a few minutes about the background of our business. If you're not familiar with us, we have a biotech company in the area of research and development and manufacturing. And we have the first approved product by the FDA in the United States in 1990, which is a collagen product for medical use.
okay.
As a wound dressing. If you have diabetes, if you have bed sores, if you have any sort of a traumatic wound, you fall off a bike and you lose half your back, you put this stuff on, it heals you right up. That's in a nutshell what we do.
What's it called?
The name of the company is Human Biosciences.
No, the product.
The products are called Skin Temp and Medifil.
Medifil?
Yes, MEDIFL. And we have samples here as well.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Sure. This, especially for elderly populations, aging populations, has been fantastic.
And it's on the market.
Yes, oh yeah.
So
We're
now- okay.
currently selling in the United States in about 6,000 nursing homes nationwide.
Where are you producing this now?
In Montgomery County, Gaithersburg.
Okay.
I'm going to show you this. This is our facility in Gaithersburg, and in this facility, we moved there about 12 years ago. We moved here to Maryland about in 2000. First, we went to Tech Road in Silver Spring, and from there we shifted here to this facility where we are now in Gaithersburg. We've been there for 12 years. Had I had the foresight at that time to buy as opposed to rent, probably we'd be owning the building by now.
Yes.
But probably we're in a better place, so it's okay. If you see our the main thing I want to present here is that we have this business. We're in about 6,000 nursing homes, 4,000 hospitals, 4,000 doctors' offices nationwide, and we have an extensive distribution system all over the country.
Do you do direct shipment or do you go through like,
All distribution.
huh?
We have only 2 salespeople per company.
So you do it all? They
Well-
order directly from you and you don't go like through Medline or any place like that?
Medline buys from us also.
They buy from you
Yeah.
and then, okay.
We ship it to their distribution site, and they supply wherever they supply.
All right.
But Medline buys, I mean, we've got some of the top distributors in the country that buy from us. Not some, all of the top distributors in the country buy.
Okay.
McKesson buys from us, so many people. Pharmacies also buy from us. And we have good corporate partnerships for the sales. We focus on development and production. That's what our main business is. We have this factory in Gaithersburg, and as you can see, this is the heart of the facility actually. These machines here, they're called sublimators or freeze dryers. Everybody's now familiar with freeze dryers as compared to when I started. And we put, in fact, I can give you a quick rundown of the process, how it happens, so you have an idea what's coming into the building and going out. What comes into the building is a raw material, which is it's a clean raw material certified by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It comes from bovine skin, cow skins, and it comes out like a paste. It looks like a jelly. It comes in boxes or drums, and we take that, add some chemicals to it, mix it up in the facility, put it into trays, which ultimately go into the freezer, which is in the back. From the freezer, it comes into these machines and pulls the water back out. This becomes ice, which basically is tested. It's it's as good as drinking water. So the effluent, it doesn't exist. There's no effluent in this process. The product which comes in.
Are you using like CO2 or nitrogen or anything to freeze?
No. Just normal, just a freezer, like a meat freezer. It goes to minus 25 degrees centigrade, which is typical of a meat freezer. Of course, we control the freezer because the process is that when ice forms, the crystals can be controlled in terms of the size and the shape of the ice crystals, depending on how fast you freeze and how cold you freeze. So we control that process to make the ice crystal the same size and shape as the pores in between the fibers in your skin.
Wow.
So when it goes into these machines, it pulls the ice crystals out as a steam. The steam is captured here, and what's left here is the space between the fibers. And when you look at it under the microscope, sorry, I'm a sore throat.
Do you want some water?
No, I'm fine. I have a what you call balls in my mouth. That's why.
Okay.
Ultimately, the fiber is equivalent to human fiber because the bovine fiber, when it comes in, we add the chemicals to it. That modifies the fibers to become equivalent to human fibers. And then in this machine, after freezing, the pore size, the pores and the distribution of the pores is equivalent to human skin. The product which comes out of this machine is equivalent to human skin. And that's the product that you see in those boxes.
Okay.
And effectively, from here, just cut, package, ship.
That's it?
That's it. It's a simple process. What we pride ourselves on is the fact that we have a very simple process. It's not a, we don't have to have, we have PhD guys running around in our labs, but we don't need them on our production floor. We want people who understand that, okay, you have a job to do, remove the tray, put it back in, push the button. We have go ahead. Next. So, let's see. It's just about this basically says what we're talking about. It's used for deep wounds, exuding wounds, all sorts of different types of things. We sell even overseas where people, when they get shot in the battlefields, they're able to use this to stop the bleeding, and it saves a lot of lives. We donated 1 container of goods to in Ukraine, to the Ukraine war.
Nice.
So these are the materials: Medifill particles, collagen sheets, and Medifill gel. This is just the ice that comes out of those machines. And when I've asked these guys to put this together, I've asked them to give the dirtiest view of what you see. Normally, it's all. Here you have a little bit of, because of some rust on the, when they remove it, on the chamber there's a little bit of rust, so you fix it up here. Okay. We have all the certifications. We work in a class 10,000 clean room environment, audited every year. It's done by, we have an ISO 13485 certification as well. We have to, of course, we maintain those standards. We've had these for years. Okay. This is the clean room manufacturing. Here, you know, in the clean room, a class 10,000 clean room, I don't know if everybody's familiar with that, but you have to have HEPA filters inside there, and those HEPA filters have to remove all the dust particles and any contaminant which could be there, and all the walls and the floors and everything have to be scrubbed so that they're sterile. And you have to have a report for that, which you put in the files and people test it. So, yeah, go ahead. Open this. This is a dishwasher. This thing makes probably more noise than anything else. You can't tell from here, but yeah, this is only a dishwasher because we have to keep the trays washed. And you can see the labor, they walk around with their booties and all this stuff. Protective gear for the person, also for the environment also.
Protective gear more for the product than for the person.
Yeah, but in these days, earlier it used to be like that, now it's both ways. These are the trays of the materials that go into the freezer. Of course, he's just washing the trays right now. Go ahead. This is the person after the machine, after the material is cut. They just this is stamping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They just stamp the lot numbers and things like that. A lot of this stuff is really it's manual work, but it's good work. Many of our people who are on the production floor have been there for 12, 13, 15 years.
How many people do you think you'll employ?
Typically, we have about 100 people.
Okay.
But at any given time on the facility, maybe 50 people because we run 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So we have to have shifts that cover the weekends and all as well. The weekend shifts are very, very light, maybe 12 or 13 people.
Okay.
They just have to change the machines in and out. But during the week, about 50 to 60 people total. This is the facility where we're staying right now, Human Biosciences in Gaithersburg. I would invite all of you guys to come and have a look if you have some interest. This, we put it in because to give an idea of the impact of waste. This is we have only this one dumpster which is in the back. It gets emptied once every 2 weeks, and we have only a third of this. That's the amount of trash we generate. Of course, the paper boxes that we have, the cardboard boxes, they go for recycling. Okay. This is the maximum amount of smoke or whatever you want to call it goes out. These are vacuum pumps. You find these in every research facility. If you have a research lab here in town, you'll find these vacuum pumps. Since they run 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, we have this system, which was homemade, to capture the oil, so no oil goes out into the environment. So if you see on the top, there's about a 4-inch pipe. Out of all these pumps, you have about you can't see any smoke that comes out. Yeah, it's less than a car. This is. This is the outside of our current facility. And you can see these are all houses all around here. All around, the whole thing is all residential neighborhood. This is, of course, another biotech facility. That's ours? Oh, they look the same. Next to each other, they're two. The guys next to us, by the way, they're making the vaccines for the COVID. See, these are all the residential houses all around. We're going to miss this location. Okay. All right. Okay, he's going to play. This is the maximum. This is the sound from inside the facility. You can't hear this outside, but this is the sound that it makes inside. It's probably around 60 to 70 decibels. This, by the way, our business has picked up quite a bit. This is the amount of truck traffic that goes in and out of our facilities. Running average for the last 3 months. 13 times a month, 15 times a month. When he talks about, these are like box trucks, and maybe one 20-foot container, a week. And FedEx daily, that's just,
I don't think we get those big 18-wheelers or anything like that.
Well, they're coming in right next door to you like every day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so you've got the lumber yard right there.
and if you can see if you see the material, it's very lightweight. Typically we ship it by air, or FedEx comes and picks it up and it goes out. Of course, our distribution customers, they pick up pallets at a time, then it goes out in these other trucks. Job creation and collaborative. Yeah. Okay. These are some of the new products and new things that we're doing. We have an in-house sterilization unit which we want to install at the end of our production line because we have backward integration into producing our own raw materials. Took the page out of the Chinese book. And on the other side, you have to sterilize the product. So instead of sending for sterilization, we're going to do it in-house. It's like an X-ray machine. And yeah, this is that kind of thing. Well, that's our business is pretty simple and sweet. We've been doing it for 32 years, and we'd love to do it here.
Well, listen, how can we get you in Elkton?
Well, I think they've
We just
done.
have to make a minor amendment to the zoning ordinance to allow light manufacturing in the C2 zone. So we're going to be putting that together and eventually the board will vote on it. I
How's the
wanted you
board
to know what it was about, and that's what this was for.
I like it.
I'm welcoming. Gene? I think let's get it done.
Well, like I said, we'd love to be here.
Love to have you in Elkton. Are you kidding me? This is a wonderful business.
Yeah, you'd like being with us too.
You're gonna love us.
I love small.
So how long ago was it that you left Tech Road?
Ooh. Maybe 15 years ago?
15. Actually, my company was on Tech Road.
Oh, where?
I'm trying to think of the address, but I was right down 29, make a left on Tech Road.
Yeah.
And probably the third or fourth building back on the right. I wish I could remember the address, but had a glove manufacturing facility in the back.
It's a nice place, but it's really developed quite a lot.
It's really
since then.
changed. It's
Yeah,
changed.
It's not the same anymore.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
What's the timeline on on the purchase of the property and everything?
Well, we have an arrangement already with the seller, and we want to get clear regarding the use of the facility, number one, which hopefully will have a positive response here. Second thing is we want to have a clear idea regarding the environmental impact there. And for that, the lawyers are working with the environmental consultants to make sure everything is okay. But we want to be able to start construction no later than the 1st of January.
Oh, this January?
Yeah.
Pretty aggressive schedule.
We have a lease, and that lease expires at the end of next year. So we want to be able to get everything up to speed so we can start production by the end of next year.
Wow, okay.
So we can't really.
Do you have adequate electrical service to this building?
Well, I think there's
You probably
1,200
need
amps.
three-phase service and everything?
Yeah, three-phase 440 we need.
Yeah.
I think it has 1,200 amps, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Have you contacted Delmarva Power, that's the local?
We haven't yet, but we will do that.
Okay, because the reason I say that is because we have some issues with transformers and things like that.
Okay.
So you need to kind of get on that quick.
Yeah. Do they, I'm assuming the transformer will work.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm sure they do.
Sitting there a long time, so.
Well, any questions from the board?
Your sterilization process, will you be utilizing autoclaves?
No, autoclaves actually interfere with the product because it's a collagen, it's a protein. So protein
Break
is
down.
usually by, yes. We have a electron beam process, which we send it out for sterilization. Right, actually it goes to California right now, and then it comes back. But we're investigating buying the machine ourselves and installing it in-house.
Very good. Thank you. Sounds great, gentlemen.
So just to clarify, you're moving your business from Gaithersburg to Elkton,
Yes.
and the personnel that you're hiring do not necessarily have to be PhDs. The employees it's not technically a skilled job.
I won't say that. I would say that it's our average hourly salaries currently are around $20 an hour at our place. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. And we're looking for, I prefer people, high school graduates who really want to work with their hands, who come to work. And you know, I used to have when I started, I was in Kansas. You know, the guys used to come at 5 in the morning, and you asked them what time they got to leave. They said, well, when the work is done, we leave. So I'm looking for good, hardworking people like that, and typically you find them in small towns.
Well, listen, we're excited for you, and anyway, it sounds like you got our staff on board, so keep in touch with them, and we're here to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything, thank you.
This will require a minor modification to the zoning ordinance to allow light, extra light manufacturing in the C2 zone. The problem with this site is it's an industrial building and a commercial zone. It allows research, but it doesn't allow production. So we're
Is
gonna-
that a good thing to go ahead and do that
I
anyway,
believe
or
so.
would it be a special exception?
Chip and I discussed this, and we believe that it's probably something that is beneficial to the C2 zone in general. To allow light manufacturing without that, they're not having a lot of big trucks coming in,
Right.
no pollution, no noise, and to kind of allow for that.
I didn't know a special exception for that.
Chip and I discussed it, and it was Chip's feeling that, I'll let you
I didn't
speak.
hear the question.
That they have a special exception instead.
We were going to try not to go with the special exception for this. We're going to have conditions in chapter 12, that don't, you know, like low noise, low emissions, minimal truck traffic, things like that, to avoid the special exception.
All right, so that it's, it's done.
We'll set the standards for that, yeah.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And listen, don't feel obligated that you have to stick around. You can, if you have, you can certainly, you don't have to stick around. Okay, next up we have Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, Cecil County. Come on down.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Okay, we're getting some paperwork passed out, but yes, we can. And
Excellent.
I can tell you that,
And you can see my screen, yes?
yes.
Awesome. Hello, Elkton. My name is Jessica Cayley, and I'm a resident of Perryville and a member of the Imagination Library of Cecil County's Advisory Board. Thank you for welcoming us today. We're going to present a short introduction to the Imagination Library and its achievements to date. Then we'll talk about the benefits of improving early literacy before kids even enter school and from as early as birth. We'll touch on the value improved early literacy can bring to our local schools, highlighting some important metrics in Cecil County and Elkton. Finally, we'll talk about how you, the leaders of the Elkton community, can increase our impact with your support and advocacy. And then we'll take some time to answer any of your questions. Since its launch in 1995, Imagination Library has sent out over 180 million books worldwide to children between the ages of birth to 5. And about 15,000 of those were sent to Cecil County kids since we began our effort in 2019. Imagination Library is known as the premier book gifting program based on all the achievements and awards over the years from such esteemed organizations as the Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval and the Library of Congress Literacy Awards. Many states have recognized the value proposition of supporting Dolly's Library and have fully funded registrations for all babies at birth. Here in Cecil County, Imagination Library has already enriched the lives of over 1,000 children, with 188 graduates at age 5 and 842 registered today. Well, actually, those numbers keep growing even since printing these slides. Today, we're sending out over 860 books every month. Our local team has several members with deep experience in the field of education. When we learned that we could bring Dolly's Library here to Cecil County, we knew the benefits of improving early literacy from personal knowledge in the classroom as parents and as business people. Major milestones for oral language and vocabulary happen between birth and 3 years. Reading aloud in the child's first years builds their vocabulary, their knowledge about the world, and the sounds and patterns of written language, all of which lay a solid foundation for literacy. And we hope the prospect of free books mailed each month to preschoolers would engage the community as well. Our slow but steady growth over the last 3 years shows that the message is starting to get out there, and we're looking forward to continued growth in the program locally because we know there is a need. In the latest school report card published by Maryland.gov, Cecil County elementary schools only earned half the points possible in two very important areas on the report card: academic achievement and academic progress. Our students only performed at the 50% proficiency level in English language arts. Now, the Cecil County Early Childhood Advisory Council shared at a meeting we attended in June that only 34% of Cecil County children were ready for kindergarten, and they feel strongly that access to the Imagination Library books will help address this shortcoming. Both anecdotal and statistical evidence from school systems that are benefiting from the Imagination Library's boost to literacy are very motivational for us, and we want to reach every eligible student in Cecil County. Our history shows that registrations in Elkton have always been strong. Today, Elkton preschoolers make up half of Cecil County's current registrations. Students who are not prepared in elementary school can carry on that lack of success throughout their academic career and possibly their whole life. We can see that the Elkton High School earned only 57% out of 100 points in their latest report card, and we believe that working together we can improve these scores in the future. Now, these are the numbers of children that we registered each year for the whole Cecil County, compared to the number from Elkton in parentheses. From the start, Elkton families have flocked to sign up for their free monthly books. Even at events we were graciously hosted at by organizations in Perryville and Conowingo, they made the trip from Elkton. And we've had some great participation from organizations helping us get the word out and helping us find funding, like the Northeast Walmart, who helped us receive the Walmart Community Grant. However, donations from the Elkton community have not quite kept pace with registrations. And the amounts shown are from both individuals and local organizations. Now, we want to be clear that we do not expect any community to fully fund all the registrations of their local preschoolers. There's absolutely no one-to-one correlation expected, but we know from our experience that increased advocacy and involvement on the community level leads to increased awareness and donations from their residents. How can Elkton support Dolly Parton's Imagination Library of Cecil County so we can continue to grow and increase our support of Elkton's preschoolers? We'd like to work together with the leaders of Elkton to promote advocacy on the local level and bring more awareness to the residents about the need, the program's offered solution, and the low cost per child that can easily be shared among many to make the burden small. This slide lists just a few of the ways we can think that all of you here today in this room can be of service to the children of Elkton by improving their success rate in and after their school years. And we hope that today's meeting will be the first in a series of engagements between Imagination Library and the leaders of the Elkton community. Right now, we'd love to hear about your reactions to our presentation, what actions you are willing to commit to today, and to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We got the other young ladies are up.
I'm Donna Bigley, member of the committee for Dolly Parton Imagination Library. And this is Elaine Grabowski. We have Linda Elwood, Jan Frazier, and Sharon Rosenberg, just some of our members. Jessica, of course, is our IT girl. She's down in Perryville giving this wonderful report. And a couple other members that couldn't be here today. But what I wanted to show you is some of the books, because they are a little bit different than what you would normally find in Barnes & Noble or a bookstore. Typically, this is the very first book that goes out, The Little Engine That Could. Everybody gets this welcome book when they join the registration. And this is the last book that goes out, Look Out Kindergarten, Here I Come. So these two always go. The others are age appropriate, and I'm going to take them up to you so you can see. But what I wanted to point out is the inside flap has a message to the parent or caregiver how to interact with the child before you start the book, when you're reading the book, and when you finish the book. There's a whole set of, suggestions here that make reading to the child more advantageous and exciting. So, and the baby books are just board books, but a lot of them come in Spanish, and we also do have books in Braille, so if that's a need for some of the students. But I'll just pass these around, you can take a look at them, kind of get the idea of the quality of the books. So, do you have any questions regarding the program?
Is this only for preschoolers?
0 to age 5.
Oh, okay.
Once the child reaches age 5, they graduate from the program, and, that's it. They're done. They're on their way to kindergarten, hopefully.
Did we mention the cost?
Yeah, it's $25 a year. That sends 12 books a month to each child, and the books are in their name. They come to the mail in the child's name. So each month they get a book in the mail.
Does the money raised stay locally, or does it go to?
The way the books are actually distributed is
Yep.
we are the Dolly Parton Imagination Library of Cecil County.
Okay.
We are the affiliate of Dollywood Foundation.
Okay.
So we register the children, we send the information, the database to Dollywood down in Tennessee. They ship all the books out of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So they're sent on a media rate, the cheapest rate possibly. She has made arrangements with Penguin Publishing. Actually, the cost of the book and mailing is about $2.10, if you can believe that, because those books in Barnes & Noble sell for about $10 to $13 a piece. So she's got it so that it's about $2.10 for the books. They mail them all out of there to every single child that's registered.
And how do you find these children?
Well, that's a good question. Actually, that's not really a problem. We are on Facebook, and we have, a number of followers there that we make them aware that the program's available. And we have done presentations before COVID hit. We were, meeting with different civic groups to let them know about the program. And we have attended a few fairs where things have been going on locally. And we recently did one in Conowingo with the Lions Club. They were doing eye exams, and we registered children at the same time, so it was really helpful.
So you don't affiliate with the Board of Education?
No, but we would love to. We would love to make a presentation to the
I mean,
board.
a lot of, we don't preschool,
Right.
is private. Now, a lot of private.
Yeah.
But we've also.
Donna, can I interrupt for 1 second? The gentleman asked if the money raised stays locally, and I would like to point out that yes, there is no overhead, and all the money that we raise is spent on our Cecil County children.
Right,
Thank
there's
you.
no administration fees or anything that's taken out from the $25 that goes for, it all goes to pay for the books and the mailings.
In the end, do you get any of these books back?
No, it's their personal library for the child. They end up with 60 books in their personal library.
Oh, wow.
So if they register at birth to age 5, they'll have 60 books that will be in their library.
But you never even seek to get any of them back so you can ship them out to different children?
No, they're their books, they're theirs. I mean, whatever the parents decide they
Past a
want.
certain age, I don't think they would want to
Had like 5 children in a family, that's all.
Well, each age gets a different book, so if you have 5 children and they're all different ages, they're each gonna get a different book every month. They're age-appropriate books.
If
So-
you register them at birth, they'll start at birth. If you register them at 3 years old, that's different.
Right.
And I'd like to add too, we've done presentations at the hospital, and the applications were put in the birth bag for the new moms.
Okay.
And as an aside, in speaking with them, one of the women I met with, her daughter had gone through this program in a different state. And she was just so excited when I came to talk about it, and she said, "Oh my gosh, my daughter used to run to the mailbox and say, 'Is my new book here?'" And it just ignites excitement about reading, about having books, about owning books. And we feel that that's a very important part of this.
Well, what do you need from the town of Elkton?
Well, we would like you to be an advocate for us. When you talk to business leaders or something, mention this program and make them aware that we are doing everything we can to keep the funding going. That's our main thing, is having enough funds to be able to pay for all these books.
So the applicant pays nothing?
Pardon me?
So I'd like to give full disclosure here. My granddaughter is one of the 840 that receives a book every month at my home, and I think it's a wonderful program. I'm not exactly sure. I'm trying to figure out how she got signed up by my daughter. I don't know, but we do receive a book, and she looks so forward to reading that book. And
It was wonderful to hear.
I would tell you personally, I would like to know how I can help. As an individual, I'd be all on board. So I think that
Personal donations, we like to get word out. Our thing is that we're running this wonderful program, and oftentimes people say, "I've never heard of that." So we really want to get word out as much as possible, as well as fundraising.
There's never any cost to the families, first of all, and a lot of people are taken back by that, like, how can that be possible, that you're gonna send me
There's
a
no
book and
cost.
there's no cost?
May I interject something? There are 2 ways that I can think of that you can help us very much right now. Number 1 is we're preparing to do a letter to the community requesting a fundraising letter. We try to do one annually, and we would love if Elkton would include a little note of endorsement when we mail those letters to the Elkton community. And the other one is we are planning right now our first major fundraiser, which will be next September. And we would love to have some advocacy and publication and endorsement of our event. Thank you.
And I would say that I'm sure that that's something that we could do.
Great,
Be happy to do it.
great.
If the board doesn't support it, I'll be happy to autograph it as a
Well, that's all we can ask.
and I would say, when I mentioned, is there any other ways that we could help? I would be willing to help put some type of local fundraiser on for you, to where we invite people in, maybe from the business community, and maybe they'll be there to write some checks for this organization.
That would be more wonderful.
Right, that's where we can help.
We would
Yes.
love that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank
Say
you.
something too.
Yes.
Well, I was a teacher in the county for 40 years, and as you know, especially in businesses today, one of the major complaints I hear is our students today they don't know how to communicate and talk to each other anymore. And as Donna said, that's one of the major things that I think are really, really important in these books, telling parents how they can communicate and talk to their kids, because they're in with their laptops or phones all the time, and they're not talking to each other. And this really gives you the opportunity to talk to your kids, to read to them, and the more they read that same book over and over and over again, and that's how we're teaching reading today, by doing multiple readings of the same book every week to these kids. And that's how they're learning. So it's really important that they get these books in their hand and are talking to somebody instead of looking at a screen.
I agree.
Well, that's a question. I was making some notes here. You send one book per month,
One
so
book.
that at the end of the year, they have 12 books.
Correct.
Okay, so you're multiplying that to get your 60. Okay.
Right, if they are registered at birth, they will get 60
I got
books
you.
if they get one every
Working the
single
man
month.
out, you know.
And how do you register? ImaginationLibrary.com, is that it?
Yes.
So, Facebook.
And I do have,
Schools.
there are registration forms online, that all they have to do is they would download the registration form and they mail it in to us. And I should mention that CASA is our 501c3 organization, so if a donation is made, it's made on Imagination Library /CASA. They have been wonderful. Everybody is required, if they're a Dolly Parton affiliate, to have a 501c3. So any donations are tax deductible. Our committee is not a 501c3. As we grow and expand, eventually, maybe we'll have to go down that avenue, but right now, we're with CASA, and they've been great.
And so I'd like to say two other things too. CASA has made our books available to the children that they work with the court system, because they're not, what do I say, they're
Transient.
Thank you.
If you could get a few of these books signed by Dolly Parton, I'm
She
sure
signs,
that
she puts
Bear
a
could
message.
sell them.
She puts a message inside every single book that
Pictures
goes
in
out.
there and.
Okay.
And she sends emails on their birthdays.
Yeah,
The
right.
children get emails from Dolly on their
She
birthdays.
sings them a happy birthday.
And secondly, we work with the Judy Center and sign children up. through all the-
And Head Start as well.
Perfect. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Two quick things, talking about Head Start and things. We really are looking for underserved children in underserved communities. We all love the library, we're supporters of it, but those kids whose parents are taking to the libraries, they're getting their books, thank goodness. It's these children that aren't, and I was just reviewing some stuff this morning in a literary handbook, early literacy handbook, it said, and the statistics are stunning. The average middle-class home has 13 books per child. And the underserved, the poverty, people living in poverty, it's one book for 300 children. And that was verified in this textbook. And the other thing is that, and I'm glad we didn't read all these slides to you all, because everyone hates that, and we're educators and we can talk forever. But the fact is that Elkton, we're just struggling to get money from the Elkton community. And I really
Understand.
appreciate, because your kids will cost us $10,000 this year. And so far, we've gotten $50 from the Elkton community. So we need to extend our support. We thank you for offering, and I'm sure we'll take you up on that.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With your program, has there been any feedback from that child before they enter the Essex County Public Schools?
Well, interesting you say that, because we have been trying to think of a way that we could actually get the question on the kindergarten readiness assessment to see if they are a participant in the program, and then they could kind of start tracking to see what effect this has had on Cecil County children. You know, so I know Dolly has done extensive research with this, and it definitely makes a difference with children that have been in the program from the beginning to age 5 going to kindergarten with their language skills and reading skills and that sort of thing.
And you know, that's another way that you can help us today, is because all of the research that's done on the Imagination Library is done at the local level. And if you have the resources to help us put that kind of research in place to see what kind of impact we're actually making, that would be a fabulous help as well.
The state of Delaware is currently one of the states that has total state support. So any child born in Delaware automatically is registered at the hospital for the program. So they, right from the get-go, are involved. Now, what we have found is a lot of our Cecil County moms are going up to Delaware to deliver. So what they have done is if you deliver in Delaware, then they will transfer the birth child to us. So every month, we are probably getting 10 to 15 children from Delaware registered that way through the hospital. So,
Ironically, that woman, Jean Menor, her daughter is, works in delivery at Christiana Hospital.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you probably, your daughter knows about it.
Well,
Thank you again.
Thank
for
you,
your time.
and thank you, Wendy, for bringing these young ladies forward. All right. All right, I know the sports flex is going to take a little while, so let's move forward with the Red Hill Apartments real quickly. Mr. Brad Stover, Tom Miner, and team. I have met with the group, and I think it's great that you're coming in front of the whole town board to kind of bring up where you're at and what you're looking for. And
so if you'll indulge my lack of IT skills, I'm going to try to pull up what Mr. Miner just handed out. Well, let me do this. I'll speak briefly and hand it over to Tom, and while he's chatting, I'll try to pull it up just in the interest of time. My name is Brad Stover. I'm with Robinson and Stover Law Firm in Bel Air, Maryland. With me here today, you all know Mr. Miner from Credit Ward Associates, and also here today are Mr. Jay Attar and Elliot Sharaby of Land Development Investors 2, LLC, and we thank you for the opportunity to be here today to speak with you. My clients are the contract purchaser of, it's roughly 20 acres located on Red Hill and Delancey Road here within town limits. This is a property that got annexed about 10 years ago, I think about 2012, that has been sitting fallow ever since. What my client's desire is to construct a multifamily unit to be known as the Red Hill Road Apartment Project. A specific number of units right now is not finally identified, but we're talking roughly 300. And I think what's important for you all to know is that the project would be, my clients would retain ownership. In other words, they'd be the management company, so this isn't a one-off rental, this isn't one townhouse looks good, the one next to it doesn't. It would all stay in-house, so it would be self-managed, and all of the maintenance, the trash removal, the security would all be handled by the outfit that's actually doing the development, which ensures it stays in good shape because they're just as motivated as the town to make sure it does look good. So as the mayor just mentioned, we have had a couple of informal meetings with several folks here in the town. We believe the reception to what's being proposed has been positive insofar as the town is looking for and desires managed ownership, rental units. And as Tom's going to describe in a minute, he's going to get into the nuts and bolts of really why we're here, but the project requires a significant sewer infrastructure upgrade to the tune of about $2.6 million, which we'll show you here in a second. And in the couple of years that my client's been working with the property owner, negotiating to move forward, the construction costs have gone from about 161 square foot to 200. So it's been a very significant increase, and as everyone in the room is aware, interest rates have certainly gone up as well, somewhere to the tune of 3 to 6%. So it's becoming more and more expensive to develop this project, which means currently the project is not financially tenable under the provisions of the rules we play by now. So the informal meetings, we talked about maybe various ways that we can get some sort of relief on the project. And I think essentially what my client would be coming to you with on this, if we move forward past this work session, is a waiver of sewer connection fees for the reasons that I'm going to explain here in a minute, and a reduction of the water connection fees by about half. that'll push down the cost to make it feasible. And the way we're approaching this is it isn't some sort of handout, it's a benefit to the town financially, because again, it's a $2.6 million line that's coming in, and that line that my clients are going to be putting in at their cost is going to have some significant benefits to the town above and beyond this project. Certainly with this project, tax base is always a good thing for increase for the town, but it's also going to open up capacity to a significant amount of property that's in town limits, which we'll show you here in a second, that currently does not have capacity or the ability to be served by sewer. It's as Tom eloquently calls, the hole in the donut, I guess, in your sewer shed here in the town that this improvement would fix. So it would give pretty significant opportunities to the town to increase tax base and gain some development in areas that are planned for growth and development. And again, that line would be coming in and constructed by my clients at their cost. Obviously, it would be, go through the normal process of construction, be approved by the town, and then handed over. But we believe it's just good planning practices. And as Mr. Miner is going to talk about in a minute, it would also create some technical redundancy within your system, which would be a benefit to the town as well. So again, a property that's sat fallow for about 10 years, it's ripe for development, it's planned for development, just simply can't move forward because of the costs that are associated with the development now. And this is a $2.6 million investment that my client will be making. And in return for, I believe, really no lift on the part of the town by waiving the fees, it would allow the town to reap some pretty significant financial and structural benefit. And quite frankly, without some sort of relief with the way things are now, this project simply can't move forward, and sort of it'll stay the way it has been for the last 10 years due to those financial constraints. So with that, I will turn it over to Tom, and I will attempt to pull these up so that you can have a bigger picture of what I just spoke about and what you have in your hand.
More at the base of,
You've got 3 drawings on your first page.
that's what I think I'm getting at.
Yeah, so this is-
3 different,
So this is Red Hill Road, and then here's Delancey Road.
going up to.
Yeah, so
40.
it's from the traffic circle where Kemp Drive is
Oh, okay.
to Delancey Road.
Right there. I don't-
Right, so the improvements take us, and that's why it's 3 kind of exhibits on there, is because of the length of the run. It is to be fairly long, we have a pretty long sheet. The length of improvements we have takes us from the circle of Red Hill down to Delancey, and then from Delancey, it takes us down to basically over to Courtney Drive. Those improvements are either gravity on Red Hill Road, and goes to a pump station. That pump station then has a force main. The force main then takes it up to kind of the peak onto Delancey, and then converts back into a gravity system from there. The redundancy Brad discussed has to do with the current force main line that I believe is a 8-inch or 10-inch. It's a line, it's a force main line currently that is running through the current power line easement. That line is at capacity, and any further development in this area upstream of this property would need to either have that line increase in size or would have to be feeding another line somewhere. The utility company doesn't want a parallel line, so it would mean you have to rip out that existing line and put a new line in, which is also quite expensive. So in looking at the improvements that we have to do to, again, span this sewer shed in the areas, to kind of go to the next sheet, I took some liberties to look at various properties and areas that will be immediately impacted, well, immediately and then secondarily impacted by the expansion of the system. Looking at immediate impacts, obviously would be the property that we're looking at here today, along with the adjacent property that was all part of the prior annexation agreement. That comes up to about 552 EDUs or units. And then north of that, there's also parcels that are not annexed in. However, I'm sure if there's utilities, there's potential for them to be annexed in. Right now, there's really no purpose for further annexation in this region without having utilities available. And with the sewer being capped off, there's really no.
What did you say the cost to do this?
So,
2.6
million, so the next page has, my, kind of, because we're kind of high level right now, high level estimate that we've been working off of. That's kind of the typical numbers I've been seeing for both force main and sanitary sewer runs of that size.
Oh, okay.
It's very similar to the stuff that we're actually using, for other estimates in the town right now, so.
What have you you're saying approximately 300 units, give or take?
Correct.
What have you calculated as a savings from the water and sewer hookup fee?
This is the total maintenance.
Well, it would be 10 and 5.
10 and 5, so that ends up being, so the total hookup fees is $4.5 million.
4.5?
Yeah, assuming a 300 unit density based on our schedules.
Okay, thank you.
And then just to kind of go a little bit, just so I explain my, I guess, the zoning legend on that second sheet, colorful one. I basically took the zoning density that's allowed for that amount of acreage and cut it in half, because we're gonna have 100% density. So I just said, all right, single family units, if you're allowed 8,000 square feet per unit, I took that per the acreage and then just said, all right, it's gonna be really 16,000 square feet, because you have environmental constraints, stormwater management, and forest conservation.
But you want all apartments though, right?
Well, so I'm saying for the other units, so the areas in red, and then also the areas in orange, that would be outside that currently are not annexed in, just to show.
Or other properties?
Other properties, right, exactly, just to show really the extent of potential improvements as we, there we go. Those areas are, other parcels that would potentially be benefiting as we expand the sewer shed and the capacity in this region. That's kind of how I got to that number, was taking the allowable density and cutting it account based on other constraints that we might have on the parcel. These properties now can't be serviced by sewer, they're at maximum capacity in this force main that's currently servicing everything else upstream. So, in looking at other developers, talking with other developers, other property owners, that's been kind of brought up, and it generally kind of puts the rest in kind of potential use on the property.
I am sharing, there's just a little bit of lag, I was trying to zoom out, it's slowly coming.
So just to make the board aware of some of my discussions and my thoughts, initially when we were asked about, we were talking about hookup fees and so forth, even when we relaxed our hookup fees during the last 4 or 5 years, we didn't relax them for any type of commercial apartment. So that was never relaxed. It was for single family residential. But when I met with the folks, one of the things that came across on my mind was when they were mentioning that they had about $2.5 million worth of improvements for sewer infrastructure. I thought, well, if we could examine this and see if there'd be a larger benefit to the town, then maybe that's an area there that we would be able to help, especially with the ARPA dollars that we have been receiving. And my question was whether the juice is worth the squeeze, and I got to rely on our engineering firm and our town manager to give us some decisions on those things. But that was where my thoughts were when this was coming. And I know that we had a lot of discussion of future, not only the one annexation on that's currently coming in, which is, I think, called Patriots Landing, which is that one red square to the right of Delancey Road there. I didn't know if this would feed into this system or any additional would feed into this system. I don't know. I still don't know.
You still don't.
But I think that KCI did take a initial look, and that's something Lewis could get to us so we can make a decision.
So Patriots right now, that runs, the sewer for this property runs through here and then
Okay.
feeds through there. But this here could potentially be additionally utilized for that density. Along with this, you could be talking fairly short distance here. But all this property up here can't be utilizing this existing, the force main that runs through here. It's pretty much capped out.
Okay. And that would be the same, and Tom, maybe you can answer, or maybe you can't, but that sewer line is going through that easement, is that what also, is that at the truck stops? In the hotels, is that correct, Gene?
Yes.
So if we wanted to do any future hotels up in that area across, would this all have to be part of it at some point, or does it go the other way? I guess I'm asking, we probably don't know at this
If
point.
we're going to annex any additional land in that area, we're going to need to
Upgrade.
address, water and sewer.
Okay.
So to kind of further the discussion with that is kind of going along with that, and that was kind of started pushing really far out, trying to keep it at least as local as we could with this. The sewer line runs, the force main runs through here. The first pump station is located here, and then there's further pump stations up. We would be running from here, a line up through here, and then conceptually the next run that we'd have to do would be up through and connecting in with this, and then that would be reducing the pressure on this part of the line. There will still have to be improvements as you come up there, but it creates, I think there's about 8,000 linear feet, and this does half of that.
Okay. Does the board have any specific questions on this? I would say, Gene, you have any?
What was the ask again?
So it would be waiver of the sewer and reduction of half of the water, and the math, how we get to that number?
Wait, back up.
Sorry.
Waiver of what?
The sewer connection fee,
You say you want that at zero.
and reduce the water to half. And here's how we get to that number. If this, I think you were sort of hinting at this earlier. It's how we get to what the cost of the installation, that 2.6 million of the installation of the sewer line that Lifeline is going to be funding. That was the line.
So your ask is about a 2.5, 2.6
It's in
million
that
dollar
ballpark, yes.
assistance.
And again, I know we had the informal discussion about perhaps the line would be constructed by somebody other than us, but after that was fleshed out. And quite frankly, for my client's benefit too, they get to do it on their own time schedule, so that they get to run that, and they will fully fund that cost. That gets to, I guess, it's about half of what you need to get to the top of that donut.
Thank you. I guess we'll have an answer by the next meeting for you.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you. Call us at any email, call anytime.
All right, thank you.
Say something?
Yes, sir.
My name's Alex Charby, I'm just one of the developers with Hancock. I've been in the business for over 35 years. And look at my website, it's thefallstaffgroup.com. And we're excited to come to Elkton. And, this is a project that we plan on keeping ourselves, as Brad mentioned. And it's a project we want to be proud of. And that's why Brad mentioned that we are excited to come in here and make something really beautiful that Elkton would be proud of. And I just want to give you that, say that. We build quality projects, and we're looking forward to doing something that, you'll be proud of. And we say, this is my town. And I thank you for your consideration.
Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
What did you say the name of your company is? I'm sorry.
So my personal company is the Falstaff Group.
Falstaff.
You see my website, falstaffgroup.com.
Okay, Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
As they move away, will the next group please move forward? There's only two. With a whole bunch of support in the back.
Right, that's
This is just for you. Yeah. This is just for you guys. You don't need to open this up. I'm gonna figure out how to
Okay.
for later. I talked to your son, he's me up to date. He was in.
Yes, I know.
He was having a good
Wait
time.
to get there.
He was having a good time.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, you don't need to open it. This is for you guys to have for it. In case you want to hang on the wall in the shop or something.
Would you like to stay on or is it fine?
Sign.
I will.
Okay, extra.
Has this changed in any way?
No. It's the same as the one that's hanging up on the wall at the house that we've talked about, but it's something that we haven't, financials. You sure can, yeah, absolutely. I can send you electronics. I can send you electronics too. No problem. But all of this stuff actually gets sent electronically.
I hadn't seen John either. What'd you do with campus?
Campus, we got rid of him. He's no, he was busy doing some other work today, so he couldn't wait. I'll look him up quick.
So I think, well, first and foremost, thank you guys for coming in and kind of giving us an update. I think last time you were in, we had a discussion of, I think the board was unanimous in seeing how in the heck we could help here, right?
Yep.
And then since then, there's been some questions about how we can pull a bond, how we can't pull a bond.
Yep.
And I think that it was a little premature, I think, for you guys at that time to answer any of those questions, but I don't even know if you can now or not, but I think we had a few concerns on how we could move forward. But I think we've kind of spoke since then over the last couple of weeks, and I'd like for you to maybe tell us what your thoughts are now.
Great.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's, I think we'll probably do this a couple more times as we go through the process. I think there'll be some presentations and, this is supposed to be a collaborative effort. We have no problem whatsoever coming in and talking.
Did you give Louis a set?
I did,
Okay.
yep. And this, the drawings here I'll leave for you too, Louis. I just brought one to unroll in case we needed to rather than fold it up. The drawings that we gave to you were really just for your own files in case you had any questions. Talking about partnering on something this big, we thought that each of you should have a copy of it to look at or refer to as needed. And also apologize for my informality here. As many of you know, my son suffered a little bit of a setback. He's up in the hospital, and I'll be heading there afterwards. So please don't take my genes as not thinking this is an important matter. But we're kind of passing through here to get this done. The whole idea of the public-private partnership, this is not the first time that this has been done. We've done a lot of research. We had talked to bond counsel ourselves. We talked to Chris Sheehan, who you guys have met with several times. Had the opportunity to talk to Kimberly Min, who is a counsel for the town, and we were at a function together and kind of just walked through our understanding collectively of how these things go. And I think that through all of the conversations I've had with each of you individually, all of these things are in lockstep. It's just kind of getting it all together and understanding what each of us understands to be true as we move forward. So a couple of things that we handed out just to kind of keep us on the same page. Chris Sheehan, in an attempt to help us, he put together basically the hypothetical transaction of how these things are put together for a public-private partnership. This is kind of a general overview of how this would work between the town and Sideline Properties and the bond counsel and qualified management agreement. And then we have some next steps as we move forward, which is just a basic outline of how this would go. Kind of one through the end here of what we needed to do and who we needed to engage. And to our credit, we have done those things initially. We have engaged for the feasibility study. We have engaged for a flyover rendering to help us sell the bonds when the time comes. We have engaged bond counsel to represent us, to walk through this process. And we've done all that since the last meeting to help with this process, because as all of us know, none of us here are experts in this, and it is our goal to make sure that this is the best plan for both the town, sideline properties, and the community, because if it isn't, none of us want to do it. We certainly don't want to go any further than we need to, if it doesn't seem to be feasible both economically and for the good of the community. So probably the last thing to mention is that we provided the projected financing and the project cost. This is basically the expense and revenue projections for the for the project. And it's important to note that these will all be vetted. Everything that we have is a part of that vetting process that the feasibility study is going to do to make sure that this project is going to work well. So they're going to scrutinize every dollar that we've put in here and said that we're either going to spend and or make as revenue. And they're going to scrutinize both our plan and our development plan and development costs all the way through our operations and our business development, our staffing, and our job descriptions. I mean, it is quite the undertaking to get through that process, which we've already started.
I think it's important on that feasibility study, when we've sat in the meetings that you've had open, and part of that feasibility is to make sure that it would support a bond sale. So the financials that are coming, the reason we went to a company that's familiar with this is so when they give that opinion, we can actually sell a bond based on their opinion. Their opinion is backed by fact and all of our ideas. So we engage them early to get ahead of that process. So as you go through the bonding rating process for you guys, we can have some answers for you moving through from our end.
Right.
So we've done a lot of research for us to be able to do that, and I think there's some question about how the bond actually goes together and what the ask might be. So I think that's probably why we're here mainly today, to make sure everybody's on the same page. I think we've talked individually at different points, but this is a true public partnership, public-private partnership. We're asking for the town to be our partner in this, and what that means is the town, through the bonding process and this whole process, would own the property, and we would manage the property over a period of time, pay the debt service, and once the debt service is paid back, it would revert back to us. That gives everybody the most flexibility in controlling what happens on the project over time. And that's really kind of the path we're heading down, and I think we wanted to get that out on the table kind of today, so you guys understand that, and everybody understands that.
And by the way, that is not our request. That's a legal requirement in a public-private partnership, that the town would retain ownership of that property during the life of the bond. The qualified management agreement, which is a part of that process and a part of the entire package, would require us and allow us to manage and collect the revenue and pay the debt service on the bond. And then at the time when that entire bond was repaid, then the ownership would revert back to us so that we could continue to pay taxes on it and support the town in that way. So this is not something that we've made up. It's not something our bond council has made up. And I think Kimberly Mitt has mentioned that as well, that the reality is that in order for the town to be secure in this partnership, it would be obligated to both own it and retain it so that they could control it in the event that whatever happened with Mike and Brad, that the town could feel secure in their investment in this project. It is important to recognize that even though the revenue that we're showing here is specific to the project, and that the measurement of this project being successful is specific to our ability to pay the debt service, on the town's side, it's really the ability through direct and indirect revenue that they would receive through hotels, amusement tax, through all of the different things that the sports park brings. To me, as a taxpayer, is when is your risk mitigated from the town? And the initial reports from the sports park alone was that $60 million a year of direct and indirect spending would come to the town of Elkton as a result of the sports park. And that tax revenue that is captured as a result of that, I see as over a certain number of years, when that reaches the investment that you're making in the public-private partnership, your risk is mitigated, even though we're gonna continue to pay that debt service, and we're gonna continue to collect that tax revenue along with you for many, many years to come. So, if you're looking at the revenue that would be, brought into the town and to the county, $7 million a year, I believe, to the town, $11 million a year to the county. When we're looking at how much, revenue is brought in, your mitigation for the risk is pretty quick in comparison to the 20-year bond that would be repaid at the debt services that would be responsible for during that time. So pause there for questions.
Listen, you did pretty good there. You got a lot there going.
I'm not saying anything, I've been doing this for about 5 years.
I know you have, and I've been alongside of you a little bit on that. But a couple of the one comment the council said to us was that, of course, that we had to own that property. How do you see that working at this point? Do you have a mechanism in place, or have you thought about that?
Yeah, so part of that is in the hypothetical, breakdown on how this would work. We owned the property, we took that property down. What we would do is part of this process, we pay for an appraisal. The bond would buy that property at the appraised value. It would be part of the bond, we would pay all that back. So essentially, that's how the initial part of that would work.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we go through the process of building it, there would be draws. There's trustees, there's a lot of different things that would be put in place to make sure that that's done.
Yeah, I think the most important thing to note is the town doesn't have to pay or buy the property with its current coffers of money, that it would be purchased by the bond that's being pulled for our project, and then we would be paying the debt service back to that end anyway. It's a requirement of a public-private partnership under a GO bond. It is not something that we're writing into this plan, but that's how it typically is done, so that the bond itself, that the project and the town have the most security in moving forward.
What do you think we may have spoke about this before, but just to tell us again, what do you think the cost of this total project is at this point?
We think it's $35 million. And we heard some other people talking about the development costs. It was $25 million back when we started this thing years and years ago, and as you know, both money and development costs are skyrocketing. When we asked for the Taj Mahal of everything that we could put into the sports park, including the building, they came back to us with construction costs of $40 million. And we realized that the plan that we have put in place can't support that, so we are sharpening our pencil and making this productive. And I think you can look at our expense and projections and see that it is a very valid business on it that stands on its own, but the development of this, to get it off and running, and the benefit that it brings to the town and the county for all of the other things that surround it, is much more important to the town than the actual business that we have here. The ability for this to bring in all of the hotels and the people and the transient dollars is the real value of this. It's not simply just the sports park and whether the bringing in of teams is going to support just this project in itself.
Are you asking that the town issue general obligation bonds for this?
My understanding from the public-private partnership, if they were to go forward with this way, that there's one of three ways that Chris Sheehan walked through, I think, when he was there, and there's a general obligation bond, a revenue bond, or a combination. And the general obligation bond provides the best rates. So
But
we're asking
they
them
require
to.
the full faith and credit behind the town.
That's true.
To
That's very
support
true.
it by a tax revenue if something doesn't
That's true.
go to court.
Very true.
How long have we owned it?
I believe the bond was 20 years is that we were looking at. Obviously, we certainly wouldn't want to be stuck in a 20-year bond for it, but that is a typical public-private partnership bond, correct?
And during that time, we don't collect property taxes from ourselves?
That I'm not sure. I'd have to defer to you guys on that.
Well, we would own a fee simple, would we?
No, I don't think you would own it under the.
You would own it fee simple, the ground.
The ground, right, but the actual.
55 acres.
Right.
Yeah. What happens to the existing mortgage on the property?
It would be paid off through the bond process, so it would be purchased, and then that cost would go into the bond.
Correct.
I think it's kind of important that, we're here kind of to work, like Mike said earlier on, as a group, and we're going through the process the same way. There's going to be a lot of questions, and before, I think that, some of the next steps that we see is really getting all of our consultants together that are on both sides. We hired counsel, you have counsel, we have you know, you guys have Christian that's been here, you have Davenport, like, get that team.
We don't have
team.
Davenport yet. We
Oh.
haven't signed an engagement letter.
Okay, well, they were here.
Of course, as I continue to say, I've been involved in this project for, in some way or the other, 8 years. And I know just as of recently, when I say recently, probably over the last couple years, I know that those hotels and restaurants will not come unless this Worksplex is built. Now, you know, the decision we have to make, is that a good thing or a bad thing, right? Will the 300 single-family homes happen if there's not an amenity there for this also? So there's a lot of things that we have to weigh when we look at this. I can tell you I've looked at it, and I know what direction to go here. And as I've continued to say, I think it's a home run for the community. This will be a jewel for Cecil County. It will be a jewel for the state of Maryland. And I know that once this thing was rolling, we're all going to be able to look at ourselves and say, my gosh, this is, why didn't we do this 10 years ago when we were starting to talk about it? But it takes people involved that's going to put some sweat equity into these projects to do a lot of this legwork. Now, did I ever get to the point where I really thought that the town would own this parcel? No.
And I agree with that, you know, I know, let me just qualify that, if you don't mind. The only reason that the town would own it inside of that, the P3 is because it's required as a part of the GO bond.
That's correct.
It is not because we want the town to own it, and in the qualified management agreement, it is our responsibility to continue to pay that debt service so that we can own it when it's paid back. That is a part of the entire package.
Yes.
It is not a sale to the town that then gets sold back to us. This is an agreement in total.
It was interesting. I'll share another quick story. I was on vacation last week, and I was in Dewey Beach for the week, and it's going to sound, where is the mayor coming up with this story at? So my son-in-law, my son, and maybe my future son-in-law were getting ready to go golfing at the Rookery. On the very first hole, there was a gentleman there working, and I got talking to him about this and that, and he told me he was the mayor of Milford, Delaware. And I said, the mayor of Milford, Delaware? I said, well, I'm the mayor of Elkton, Maryland. And I said, hey, how's it working out with you with the Sportsplex, the DE turf? He said, well, quite frankly, I'm going to tell you. He said, we're about 5 miles from that center, but we are getting beautiful growth of our community. But he said, the bad part about this is the growth was never planned in his community like it would. So I explained to him what we were doing, or trying to do. And he said, you guys are spot on with the tourism dollars that they're bringing in to Milford, Delaware, and so forth. It's been a pretty good, from that side. Now, were they ready for all the traffic and things like that? I can tell you, they weren't ready for it. They didn't think it was going to affect them 5 miles away.
Right.
But we're preparing ourselves for that. So it was just a little sidebar conversation about how promising it is even for that facility, or that town 5 miles away. I have no other questions. I've said from day one, this is something that I think it's something that we really need to do. I don't know how the rest of the board feels. Still on board?
I'm still on board with the project, but through the whole process, there's still a lot of questions and answers that I guess the totality of everybody needs responses.
And the other part of that too is when the feasibility study comes back, if it says it's not good, we don't want to do it either. I mean, that's, you know, that is the whole point of all of this, is to make sure it is good for everyone. There's no one saying, we're not trying to drive this train down Elkton's throat here. We're actually saying, hey, listen, collaboratively, how do we make this better for everyone? And how does this community get better? We have to make bold moves to make huge leaps. Right now is the time. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. We have a huge opportunity here that we need to take advantage of.
And listen, the bond council also, if it's not a good project, they can't sell the bonds.
That's right.
They're going to say,
That's right.
You guys are barking up the wrong tree.
I think it's also important when you think about it, we're not reinventing the wheel here. This has been done all over the country for all different types of projects. And the people that we have the ability to bring to the table are the professionals in doing this and doing it appropriately and right by everybody. So, I think you're right. The process needs to move forward. And we're more than happy to do our part. We just,
How soon will your feasibility be done?
Approximately 8 weeks.
8 weeks. Could I ask you guys to show up at our next meeting and just kind of give an update on? Sure. I mean, I don't think there'll be any more that we can talk about, but I think it's very valuable for the community, for all of us to meet again at the next workshop also.
Sure.
Is there any direct questions anyone has?
No, I'm very happy with the way this is proceeding. I'm very happy with the education that we've received along the way, step by step. It's we're really, it's easy to understand, and it seems almost foolproof. Is there a risk? Isn't there always a risk? But it seems to me that the risk is minimal. The gain is great. So I am still 100% on board with this.
And listen, the risk if it produced $0, the risk is about a 20-cent increase to the town taxes. I mean, that's a fact. And that's the things that we have to weigh here. And I've looked at I want to see what the feasibility says. As I said, 8 weeks.
8 weeks, okay.
8 weeks.
We engage that.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that score.
Me too. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Guys, thank you.
Thank you guys very
Yeah,
much.
thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Good luck. I didn't know.
Thank you. He's doing much better. Tough weekend. You guys have been, as friends, great supporters, so thank you. I appreciate it. He told me to make sure I came here today.
Tell Caden that my attic is still
full.
Waiting.
I will tell him you just get to work. No problem. I appreciate that. I'll let him know. Thank you all.
All right, thank you guys. Forgot one? Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna make you that next.
Hey Lou, I know you wanted to talk to us about the policy statement on the annexation.
Defer on that today.
Okay.
I think we got a couple more.
Okay, let's see,
We do have to engage, as Brad indicated, we can't take advice from Davenport unless we sign an engagement letter. And their schedule, I'll bring that up at the meeting on the 21st.
Okay.
Because by law, they can't give us any advice unless we actually formally engage them.
very good. Well, listen, it was I thought a very informative meeting.
Very good meeting.
I'd love to get HBS in the town of Elkton.
Yeah. That seems like a good company.
All right, anything? You guys have anything you want to bring up?
No, but we're not gonna talk about this.
No, Lou said he wanted to defer it. I agree with this. I mean, I agree with the statement, and if we don't have adequate facilities, why do we want to lead anyone down the wrong road?
We don't. We can't. That's 4 acres of high-density residential development potential.
I agree with you.
And we don't have the water and sewer for that. And we, given the sportsplex and all that, it's going to be a big challenge for us to meet adequate facilities for that. I can tell you right now. So anyway, I think we should just defer any accepting further annexation for the time being.
I have to tell you, I went up to the reservoir yesterday, and pretty excited about it. I guess they're
half done the liner today so far, so they should be done by the end of the week. Not everything, but I think the liners will be done and the cover. They were half on the cover.
That's all good news.
Yes.
All right, meeting adjourned.